Like many media, tropes and cliches are just part of the game, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Is no exception to those rules. And it's a lot more than just the hero will always win. Here's just the random little kinks you probably never noticed in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. A duel by the hero will always be won by beating the opponent's boss monster and never just a simple effect or beating over their weaker monsters. The hero will always struggle, basically enabling the villain to summon their boss monster. Simple enough, right? Some duels could end very early, as most real duels tend to get right to summoning the boss monster right away if they can, as most modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Duels last about 4 turns, if you're lucky. The harder a boss monster is to summon, the worse the protagonist will play, so they actually have time to get it out. Joey obtains his best monsters from beating opponents. When Pot of Greed is used, it will always be explained despite the effect being simple and 3 words. If Weevil Underwood is participating in a tournament, he will always be eliminated from the tournament and not just beaten. Just an explanation, both tournaments he's in, Weevil bets all his star chips, or locator cards. Other duelists don't and actually have some remaining. A monster summoned in face-down defense is always a trap. Ever notice how when a card is in defense, it's always face up? So we can see it's just a normal defending monster. But if something is face down, it's always a nasty trap. Usually something like a morphing jar. If Joey Wheeler uses a gamble card, not only will he win the outcome, he will only get exactly what he needs to win. Never too much. Just enough to squeak out the win. If he needs to roll a 4, then he'll get the 4. If he needs to get a 3, he gets a 3. Just enough. Never extra. If a player is a cheater, they will almost always be the one to face Joey Wheeler. Nobody in this show is allowed to brick when drawing. How often do people actually brick? Well, the one time it's a plot point is during the Joey vs. Odeon duel. But I think that's about it. How many times have people actually struggled to draw what they need? Which brings up another cliche. Both players draw exactly what they need to, exactly when they need it. Given how bad the deck building is in this show, you'd expect them to sometimes have what they need at the bottom of their decks. But no, everyone gets to at least pull off their strategy, even if it fails. Fusion summoning is used as a way to cheat monsters onto the field. Fusion is often used when the character needs something strong on the field, but cannot tribute summon due to a lack of monsters in play. Duels have been won by a deck out, exactly, 1 time. There have been 8 victories by surrender in the series. 4 times it was out of mutual respect or not wanting to hurt the opponent. Twice it was done out of respect because the opponent knew they were going to lose anyway. And twice it was a rage quit or sore loser scenario. Mirror Force only successfully goes off 1 time. Every other time it's negated or reversed back on the person who used it. And this actually goes into another point. If a card either changes the entire game once or helps to win a duel, it usually will never be useful again. And if it's a monster card and isn't Dark Magician, it usually will not return or will be significantly nerfed. If a shot of the cards in the hand are shown, chances are it's to show that the player has nothing viable, or something in the hand will be used to gain a small temporary boost. New game-winning cards have to be drawn. Yugi's card, Big Shield Gardna, has never lost by normal battle. With its 2600 defense, it's often taken out by either card effect or weakened first. Nobody ever actually beats over its real defense. Mokuba will always be kidnapped by the main antagonist of the story arc. The protagonist will always win by the skin of their teeth and never dominantly, no matter how low tier the opponent ranks. This rule expands to people LARPing as the protagonist or who are temporarily the protagonist, like My Valentine or Rebecca Hawkins, as the same formula applies to them during their own filler duels where they're the main characters. If someone manages to get the perfect hand and get their boss monster out early, they will always lose it just as fast as they got it out. If an effect is overly explained before it happens, or is shown in a flash forward sequence, it will not work. If a boss monster comes back again, unless it's Jinzo or Red Eye's Black Dragon, chances are it will be nerfed significantly in later appearances. We never learn a character's backstory until their last moments in the anime. Duels will never be won by random or unexpected draws, just suddenly drawing what you need to end a duel early. Nope. A duel can never end until the loser plays their boss monster and has a reasonable shot at winning. A duel can never end with cards on the field. The duel can only end by beating the opponent's strongest boss monster. Joey Wheeler's 3 best monsters all have 2400 attack. The hero's cards will always look strong, heroic, or generally pretty. You can tell a character won't stay a villain forever if their monsters have any level of attractiveness. For example, take the Dark Magician for instance. Take Dark Magician Girl. Blue Eyes White Dragon has a very blue royal regal coat. And the Harpy ladies, My Valentine is an antagonist for the early part of that arc. However, we know she turns good because the Harpy ladies are drawn with anime plot, if you know what I'm talking about. Rex Raptor will usually have something bad happen to him or fall into some kind of misfortune. Antagonistic characters will always walk into traps and play stupidly once they get their boss monster out. Once an arc ends, the protagonists change about 90% of their decks, yet the cards still exist in the deck. As shown in the various shots where Yugi has his deck spread out on tables, or for example, uses the Feral Imp in the Battle Royal duel without playing it. Filler arcs often focus on legendary and nostalgia cards. Despite it being a fusion monster, Gazelle the King of Mythical Beasts is actually used way more than its partner, Baphomet, and its fused form, Chimera the Flying Mythical Beast. In canon material, Chimera is only used one duel. If you count filler, it gets 2 extra appearances. However, Gazelle the King of Mythical Beasts is used in pretty much every Battle City duel forward. Time Wizard and Baby Dragon have only ever been victorious in one duel together. Most of the time, the opponent's boss monster will be beaten by battle. However, 2 notable exceptions. Joey defeats the Insect Queen with a card effect and wins by destroying the tokens instead. And Yugi defeats Slifer the Sky Dragon with Revival Jam, forcing a deck out. Egyptian gods can only ever be defeated by other Egyptian gods. The only other times Egyptian gods are defeated is usually by card effect, or just by forcing them out of the field without battle. Kaiba uses his obelisk at almost every opportunity, even against minor villain NPC characters, while Yugi only ever uses Slifer when his back is against the wall. Beta the Magnet Warrior is the strongest Magnet Warrior, but he's only ever destroyed one monster. So that's all the ones I noticed. What about you? Share your list in the comments, and if I get enough, I'll do a sequel to this video, and if you're interested, I'll credit you. Thank you for watching. This has been the Blocker Nader, and I hope you all enjoyed. See you next time.